Recording this. Perfect timing. So let's start again. So this is the recording version of the introduction. Okay. So first of all, thank you everybody to be here. Today's call it is about vibe coding. I'm gonna have a little presentation about my vibe coding, just so we are on the same page and you see my point of view on this topic. But the idea here is that we need to learn from each other. Okay, so I'm gonna show how bad I am. Okay, so you can see okay my weaknesses and you feel hopefully the courage to share your own. Okay, because this is how we learn. We don't learn by pretending to be amazing. Okay, we learn because we say, look, I'm not perfect. This is what I am at the moment. And at this time, I can do this. Okay, so now there is something important to understand that vibe coders, people that are not coding, they don't know how to code, can do something that is amazing and different from the people that are coders. Okay, and in today's presentation, I will explain why this is possible. Uh, so I really invite you to take the courage and just say, look, this is how bad I am or how good I am. But it's the point is not to show is to show the fragility of who we are. Okay, so it's not easy and it's difficult, especially because I'm this person that I'm supposed to lead and build this amazing software that's gonna change the world. But I'm gonna tell you my weaknesses and so you can tell me yours. You can tell me how you actually go around those challenges, so we can learn from each other and and so let's have fun about this. All right, I'm gonna start by sharing the screen. Actually, before I start, is there anyone that wants to say anything before we start? Introduce yourself. I don't know, share an idea or something.
Can I say how excited I am, Manolo, to have this many people on this call doing what you're talking about? Because I am breaking things left and right, but I am being so productive as an engineer, software engineer. I'm so excited because I've never been able to produce this amount of code, production grade stuff. I'm working in real businesses, doing real things, and I'm breaking stuff left and right. So I'm just excited to have a bunch of people here that can talk about it and I can learn from. Like I'm learning from you guys constantly, always improving. So this is wonderful. Thank you for everyone that's joined.
Thank you, Tom. And yeah, I'm also learning a lot. Uh, okay, I'm gonna find yeah, this is so I made this, of course, presentation through. No, am I sharing the right page? Are you seeing this presentation?
Yes, the
Yeah,
but
okay, good. Um, so I made this with Notebook LM. Okay, so I wrote this article today. I don't know if you had a chance to read, and I shared on the Substack. It is about the uh, vibe coding. Okay, so here is an introduction of what is being shared on that document. I don't want to spend too much time because, like I said, what is more important for us is to share our own experiences. Okay, on this guide, I wrote down what I learned, what I think is important to think, but then doesn't mean that I follow it all the time. Okay, that I have this in mind. Uh, okay, so there is two kind of approach, right? So the casual version, you go there and you start prompting AI without having a clear idea of what you want to build, and that is kind of create this chaotic approach, unstructured, messy, and so on. Okay, let's say that this is not the perfect direction to start, but even in this imperfection, we need to understand that in most cases, if we analyze what we are doing, we are learning. Okay, so don't have fear to say, okay, I'm gonna just start the interaction with the AI and say, build me a game. Okay, wrong prompt. Okay, you completely you have no control of what is gonna happen, but nevertheless, it's a start. So it's better to start than not starting. But a better version is actually to start building the world. Okay, start having an idea of what the software should look like. Okay, so you have control over it. Uh, this is what I was saying about the non-coder and the coder. Okay, there is two different superpower, advantage, and failure mode that we need to consider. So as a no-coder, what is happening is that we have no idea about the limits. We don't have total understanding of what is possible to do, how things works, and so on. So we have just an imagination to connect with. Okay, so we have the freedom as a no coders to imagine the impossible. Okay, something that is, like I said here, is unreasonable imagination, meaning that it's completely out of control, and therefore we can explore things that have never been explored before. So this is incredible for the non-coder because we have no constraints. So the advantage is that we can discover new patterns of delegation. We can do things that couldn't be done before in the most weird and bizarre way. So again, what I'm saying here is, even though there is, let's say, strategy to achieve something in a shorter term, in a more stable term, and those are the power of those people that have been coding and know the best practice and so on. In reality, there is some advantages that those no coder has uh, that are really important. So, and there is also failure at accepting magic without understanding consequences. Okay, that is the biggest thing. Okay, we have don't know. It's like a black box. We can't see inside. We don't understand what is inside. I mean, we can see the code, but we don't get it. So it's like I don't know. We lose connection with the code, with the reality, and therefore it's really risky. As a coder, you have uh, you have structure. Okay, you understand the code, you understand the limits, you understand AI, you understand what AI can do. But that also brings to a sort of problem that as a failure, you under delegating. Okay, you're using AI only for as a junior assistant instead of exploring the real possibility of this technology, especially because it's getting better and better. So there is, hope it makes sense that the both of these two reality have superpower advantage and failure that are kind of different. So in today's call, where we are a mix of people they have no idea about coding and some people that are really expert about coding, we can learn from each other. Okay, so don't think because you've been a coder you know it all. Okay, don't think because you're not coder then you are not able to learn about structuring and building a code in a better way. So yeah, uh, so I want to also to say this thing. This is part of the vibe coding. Okay, I'm totally not prepared for this presentation, so I went through, of course, but I've been so busy doing a lot of other work. I just finished what's the name? The a live on TikTok where I was talking about AI and so on. So my brain is still a little bit there. So world building. So if you've been looking into the what's the name augmentatism, okay, the philosophy that is behind this community. So the idea here is to accept the fact that each one of us has some diversity. Okay, we see the world in a different way. So by working with AI, I realize personally that there is this field of possibility. AI can be anything. Okay, we can just be. Uh, eh, I mean, can be in somehow we can make AI to represent an identity, can be representing an ideology, a philosophy, can be a specific person, be a clown, be an actor, be an engineer, be whatever. Okay, so there is this ability to turn AI into almost anything. So now it's our job to build the world that we want. Okay, and in that world there is a lot of elements. Okay, we need to be in control of those elements. So that is the sovereignty that we need to have. Okay, so understanding that doesn't matter if you know the code or not, you have the ability to define the world. Now, There are two elements that when you start vibe coding. One thing is when you start as a new project, and then instead when you want to modify and an existing project. Okay, there are different way to move around. But when you start a new project, you should start, define the purpose. Okay, what is this software that I'm building? What is app? What it should do, and so on. So instead of starting running, like I said at the beginning, write me a video game. Start defining what is the video. What's the purpose of this video game? Okay, I don't know. Is a video game that makes me learn about, I don't know, survival? Is a video game that is the theme is about, I don't know, racing and so on. So whatever it is, you start building through an idea. You start defining all those elements before you start actually writing the code. So you must own the world that you're building. Okay, that is the idea. So own it. And you own it by defining all those aspects, to spend time together with AI to define all those elements. Again, there is a deep dive article about this, so you can read more. And there is a different approach when instead you need to fix, okay, or change part of the code. So the first thing that you need to do is not giving this code to AI and say, okay, there is fix this bug. No, the problem here is the agent is not aware about what is this software is about. Okay, what is has no understanding of the world. So the first step to do is to make AI understanding the world that needs to fix. Okay, so there is a kind of different approach, but the level of awareness required in both scenarios, in creating and in fixing, improving, and implementing, is still really important. So an AI that doesn't understand the world cannot build it, cannot fix it. So that is a major element to consider. Now, there is another element inside the augmentatism philosophy is the idea of friction. So AI goes at an extremely high speed. Okay, that speed is beautiful. It's what allow us to do more and better. I mean, better is depend of us. Okay, but allows us to do more because that speed is incredible. But there is a problem with the speed. Okay, we as a human, we need the friction, time to actually define our own style. Okay, the taste, the judgment, the identity is developed through this friction. So the fact that things go slower and then you need to think and put energy and effort to understand and so on, all those elements are all occasion for you to define your taste, to define your identity. So the friction is something that sometimes I feel weird, right? Because you would like to have it things right away. But in reality, that time, that friction, that difficulties allow your taste to be developed and injected inside the system. So find a way to actually leverage on this element. Be aware that if things go so fast, you are not creating something that has your identity, okay? But you're just using AI to average down to whatever, to the next most probable token. And if you're building a game, an app, whatever you're building, is gonna go towards the average because there was not that friction that injected your identity, your judgment, your taste, and create something unique that is connected to you and your reality and your understanding of the world. So pay attention to this friction. Now, this other slide is about the frontier corporate AI as a tools and the local for vibe coding. So again, we are in this scenario of okay, what kind of tools, what kind of system shall we use for vibe coding? To start with, for people that already have an account with ChatGPT, of course, the easiest thing is Codex. Okay, you have an incredible, powerful system. Okay, with an incredible, powerful model. Now, if you're already on Cloud Code, I'm I'm sorry for you. In the sense, I'm really struggling with this company at the moment with Anthropic. Uh, but an incredible system again with an incredible model. So what you can do with this is you spend more. They are somehow, let's say, more expensive. Of course, more expensive than free token from the local AI. but you have a really powerful system that can understand more complex scenario, are really good in fixing problems and so on, in building architecture elements. So in doing the high level thinking, they are better than the local one. Now, the local one are getting better and better. There is like this Quen 3.627 billion. It's an incredible model that can run on a lot of consumer computers. Amazing. Okay, so those models can do a lot. And what would be the architecture ideally would be something mixed. So let's say you have a $20 account with Codex, with OpenAI. Okay, so meaning you have high intelligence, but you don't have unlimited token. You use this one to build like the the initial part. Okay, so you structure the system, you do the high thinking and so on. Then you delegate the work to those local models. They do most of the work, everything work 24 hours and so on. Then every time that you have a problem to fix something that it doesn't work or you need a review of the code, you give it back to your large system. In this way, you have the both worlds working together and you don't missing out of the super powerful, but you still have control over those model. Uh, Let me remember this slide now. Okay, this is a little bit repeating what I was explaining. So, regarding this bold delegation, okay, this is somehow a problem that everyone might have because it's really hard to understand what the AI can do. Okay, but in somehow you can ask the AI to give you three options: conservative, ambitious, and conservative, ambitious, and strange but powerful approach. Okay, so the idea is you can ask AI to give you three options to see which one you want to go into. Because sometimes you say, okay, is it possible to do this? Or you don't know what would be the ideal next step. So you can ask AI to help you out to understand what's the best next step. Okay, but what? Give me three options because maybe there is different things that allow you to see the problem in a different way. So this is something that I've been doing and helped me actually go. Somebody, most of the time is about being more ambitious and delegate more, and in some scenario instead is be really conservative because otherwise AI get lost. What I realized is when you work on something that is somehow is well documented, well done for many years, it's something that is a standard, then you can be ambitious because AI knows exactly what to build. When you're building something that is completely new, you need to be extremely careful because it's just not going to understand it. Okay, it just doesn't want to understand that scenario. So as a professional coder, you know what is new, what is not new. Okay, as a vibe coder, someone that has no experience, you have no idea if that thing is ambitious or not. Okay, that is the thing. So you ask AI, AI tells you, this is conservative, this is ambitious, this is extremely powerful. So there is interacting with AI in this sense, you can gauge better what is possible to do and then explore that direction. Uh, anyway, again, all those parts is present inside the deep dive article. Uh, but the idea is clear, okay? It's something that we said earlier. So the if there is an existing part of the software, you need to allow AI to be you need to give orientation to AI, so understand the world to which is working within, and try to to implement on that direction. Um, Here again, it's broken vibe code. Okay, so there is some elements that I realized. It's what to do and what not to do. So the idea of prompting with vibe only, build a cool app, definitely it's not gonna work. Okay, it's like I said, it doesn't mean if you don't have any other idea that is not to be considered as a start. But if you take a pen and paper and you start thinking 5 minutes, you can come out with a better prompt than just build a cool app. Okay, so allow yourself that friction that I was talking earlier about, okay, to give yourself space and time to think about what you want. Again, here is a list. Those are all important. Okay, letting AI edit before understanding the system is what I was saying earlier. Accepting the first working demo as a final system. No, okay, it's all about iteration. Debugging by random thrashing. I don't know, which is something that I do. Okay, it doesn't work. I try again. It's
We,
something that
we all do it. We all do that.
this
I thrash continuously, Manolo. Thrash.
this is something that I do, okay, which is in somehow it's not the correct thing, okay, because this is not the right question. It's not the right way of uh, directing AI to actually find the solution. Okay, this is us being lazy. Okay, because you I love it. But this is us being really lazy because what we need to do is to first analyze the problem, okay, and try to understand why this problem happened. So you can ask AI to analyze it, okay, but if you just doesn't work, try again. What is happening, which happened to me a few times. Also, AI does it, okay, by itself. It's not working. I'm gonna try this other thing. I'm gonna try this other thing, and it goes into a loop. Then you stop and say, okay, you have no idea what is gonna work. Do a research. Okay, AI does a
Yes.
research, go on internet, find the solution, boom, and fix the problem. So that is another thing. Anyway, all those things, elements are being explained in more details inside the article on Substack. So I invite you to have a look. Uh, so we go back to this idea of the sovereign artisan. Okay, so at the end, as long as you have the feeling of control, you do your best to stay in control of the system, you are doing a lot. Okay, so as a vibe coder, we are not at the same level, all of us. We need to go through steps and learn and make mistakes and so on, and then finish the app and say, okay, this is I understood a lot of things. Now I need to start again. Okay, because sometimes that's the journey. Okay, you just go through, you build it, and then you say, okay, that was a mess. It worked, it was a mess. I'm gonna start again now that I learned those major elements. If you follow this guide, in somehow you go a lot of step ahead because you know structuring it's a winning scenario. Feel like you are delegating. What is delegated that is important to understand. If you delegate the taste, the creativity, the imagination, the goal, all those human elements, if you delegate it to the AI, means that you are building something that is not yours. It doesn't feel yours. Therefore, you're not feeling connected. You don't love it. You don't understand it, and therefore, you start working for AI. Okay, being the element that is needed to AI to actually finish the task. Instead, if you actually stay in control of it, and use this friction that I was talking about to actually control all those elements and write down what you want to do. Use your ideas, then you build something that feels yours, and then you can guide AI in the right direction because now it's yours. Now you know where to go. Now you can use your intuition to move around. This was the last slide. So I'm going to stop here. My invitation here is I gave my perspective from a vibe coder. Okay. And like I said, I've shared what I learned, but what most importantly is about sharing what we do wrong. So, uh, in this last I don't know 6 months now, I can't even remember. I mean, I started doing vibe coding when AI was not good enough for doing it, and therefore I was just failing all the time. And then I said, okay, this
Yeah.
is not for me. I'm not good enough. And then I think 4 months ago, when OpenClaw came out, at the same time, also Opus 4.6 came out, and so AI was actually much, much better in coding. So for my level of vibe coding, I could manage to build something incredible. So I was extremely productive as soon as I think it was connected to this Opus 4.6. Uh, I built an incredible amount of things. Then I shared this with the community. Okay, so this action of sharing with the community is extremely important because you guys told me, look, the app is amazing, but it's a mess. And I didn't know it was a mess. Okay, now then I understood the elements of, for example, building instead of a massive one single piece of code, writing in steps. So I did a lot of understanding of the importance of those blocks. Now that I know that those blocks are kind of self-sufficient. And now I also understand the importance of the advantage of this because I can give it to a local AI, a smaller element, which it can fix it, it can work on it. Okay, it's much easier to also to work with the local AI in Dester. So I've been learning a lot, but nevertheless, sometimes it's you go into this scenario which AI gives you something that you don't that I don't understand the code. Okay, I just give me something and say I don't know. So my what I do sometimes is okay, or I stuck here that I don't move, or I ask AI what is the best next step now. Okay, and then AI suggests me the best step. And sometimes I move into a scenario where I don't understand for a few steps, and then finally I go under control again. Okay, but there is a moment that I completely don't know what we're doing. I just trust the system that I gave a proper structure, so it has a proper direction. It knows exactly what I want to build. Just we are moving into a moment of the vibe coding where I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, so I'm completely lost. I go through it, and then that problem is passed. Now we get to the next step. I understand again what we're doing. Okay, and therefore I can give it back to the AI, check it, test it, and so on. So I always look for what's the name? Deterministic test, so I can actually see if it works or not. Okay, because it's I don't have much trust for AI when it says yeah it's done. But yeah, so that is what I wanted to share. I spent half an hour explaining this. Now, I don't know if any one of you wants to share. I would invite someone that wants to share from the more professional coder point of view. So we have a different light. Then everybody is invited to talk. But first, it would be nice to have a professional coder. And before Tom, probably you're one of those that can do this talk, but there is some new people inside the room that I don't know. So I don't know if you are professional coders, and I don't know if you want to talk first. I'm talking about those with the camera that is off. Okay, I'm talking with you guys. Uh,
Hi everyone, can you hear me?
yes,
Hi. Yeah, it's nice to be here. Let me turn on the camera. I don't know if the camera is going to work because, yeah, probably. Yeah, it is.
yes,
So yeah, nice to be here. And I'm not a professional coder at all. If I was coding without AI, it was a little bit of Python for data analytics. So I'm very interested to see the professional aspect of it, and I have a few ideas in what I experienced so far. I think the system prompt is very important. You can give rules to your AI agent so that it can follow a certain modus
behavior.
operandi, a certain way to do things. And another thing that I was using was open code, because it allows you to move from one model to the other, maintaining the same context. And therefore, once you finish to build a certain piece of code, you switch to the upper model, and then you ask, is there anything wrong with the code that has been done so far? And then you go kind of milestones, and you keep using the upper model to check on what the local model has done. And you keep building on that. And every time you do this, you ask for a lesson learned. And and if the upper model say this is the lesson learned, then you can ask the open code to include it in the system prompt. So the more you progress into building and fixing, the more you create the baseline for the simpler model to behave. So at the end, also the simpler model gets better and better. But I'm very interested about what the experts are gonna say. This is more trial and error from my side.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. I want to share 2 minutes before we go into those experts. So because I'm being talking about what I've been doing, but I didn't share what I've built. So there is some people that I knew that don't know. So this is Resonant OS. Resonant OS has 3 parts. Okay, this is the apps that run within Resonant OS. This is the working space. At the moment, we see Hermes agent running on this part, and this is the chat that we have with sorry, you can pop it out, that you have with within the system. Okay, this is the main AI agent. History and so on. Okay, there is different apps you can open, including, for example, the at the moment it's not connected to my local AI, but including open code and so on. So there is a different apps. So this is what I'm building. This is also what the community is helping me building. I'm not gonna go into the details, but I just want to show you what I've done by vibe coding. Okay, that is the product that I've been building. It's pretty advanced. There is a lot of functionality. I'm not gonna go into details, but there is, you can see the inside is the memory. Okay, the context window, there is an advanced memory system here. There is, you can choose your model, copy, forking, archiving, see the stats of the local model, what is how it's performing. So there is a lot of elements. I'm not gonna go into details, but so you understand, this is what I've been building with vibe coding. So I don't know if who wants to talk now.
What about Resonant Jones? You're one of the coders.
Resonant Johnson, I believe, is more like Chris. Is more like me.
Yeah, I'm a vibe coder. I mean, I'm building something big just like him, but I have like spec-driven development where I will have a long discussion with my assistant about whatever it was that I want to build. And then I have a template that I use for my prompts. So I've given the assistant the template, and it has it like in his knowledge base. And when we're like ready to implement a feature, I'll say, okay, let me get the Codexify task prompt. He fills it out for me with all the constraints and everything, and then I'll hand that off to like Codex or PyCoder or anyone you want to use. But it's like a translation layer, and it gives me a really good uniform, like consistent task across the board. So I have receipts of everything that I do, and I can see the prompt and the output. But I'm using right now ChatGPT as like a knowledge base. So in my conversation, I'll have like in the business account, I have like 40 different documents that I could put inside of a project. And I have automations that run every day that will go and read the code base. It will make new audit reports, and then I'll get the audit reports and I have to manually put them into the knowledge base and update it. So I always have like the most up-to-date information on like my conversational assistant. And I use that to do all my planning instead of doing it right in the coding agent. I don't even talk to the coding agent at all. I do all of my development straight with like my assistant directly. And then it gives me the instructions and I give the generated prompts only to the coding agents. Sometimes I'll step in if there's like some kind of a discrepancy, but I can share the prompt template with you guys. And then I also have kind of like an experimental coding, like not an agent, it's like a loop where there's a audit, you can change the audit. It's deterministic. and you just put in how many loops you want it to do. It does a report, it does the stuff, it makes the report, and you could do like 5 or 6 or 7. I mean, you could just let it loop forever if you wanted to.
Nice.
I don't know why you would want to, but yeah, I'm gonna release. I'm working on putting it into a package I could put. It's like a public repo you guys could all play with. It's not like finished, but it's functional.
Yeah, please put it out there as it is, because what you're doing, that structured prompt engineering, is exactly what Manolo just described, right? It's the difference between just throwing out some thoughts and giving it some clear structure, and then you're doing a Wiggins loop and refining and editing. So that's fantastic. So yeah, please share that. That would help a lot of people.
Yeah, the having the template where I could just be like messy, and I don't have to try and structure my thought. I just give it this big wet like wall of text of just all my different ideas, and then we whittle away, and refine. So then once we get to the point where I'm ready to turn this into instructions, then all the constraints and everything's already there. So yeah, I'll share that. I guess I can share in the Discord.
Yeah, please. And that's really the evolution here. We started with prompts, and then people started realizing prompt engineering, structured prompts, get better results. And then we started working on context engineering, which we've all been in a mad dash to make that work. And Manolo was, a little bit further ahead on this. And then, some of us are getting into intent engineering, right? Trying to get the AI to follow you, have long running memory, and, it knows what you're doing. And so it can refer back to a project 3 weeks ago. And it's smart enough to be like a junior network engineer that's always been beside you. And that makes it a lot more effective. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course. Does anybody else have anything else they want to add?
Tom, go ahead. Maybe your experience as a professional coder. What is your experience working with AI and vibe coding?
Well, thank you for letting me share. And again, thank you guys for being here. This is fantastic. I'm learning, and we're all learning. So, I mean, there's only a hair's difference really between what I'm doing and what you guys are doing. As an engineer who's been programming since age 15, and I have been in the industry, in mobile industry, the SaaS industry. I've written and implemented enterprise grade systems, warehouse management systems. I mean, really very, very broad. And these are all enterprise production grade systems. So pretty senior developer. I'm not the best. I make a lot of mistakes, but I've been in the industry a long time. And so I basically took my computer out of the closet on February 4th when OpenClaw dropped. I loaded it up because I'd looked at, Chat GPT a couple of years before, and I was like, hey, I can use this to write some books or something like that. And then I just dropped off the earth for a couple of years. But I kind of resurfaced back in February 4th when I watched Manolo's video of him walking around the woods, which was a little bit earlier on. But then, sorry, there's a bus coming by. Okay. So started working on my OpenClaw installation, and it was a thrash because OpenClaw was early and unrefined. And when I started coding, I could make it code, but I was losing memory, right? Just like everyone else. I'm losing memory, losing context, and having difficulty keeping the robot on task and keeping it focused. And then you find out 30 minutes later, it doesn't remember what you were talking about. So I started building really heavy, and then I started using Manolo's system, and I started building other guardrails and things to help the agent be a more productive coder. And so we've all kind of arrived at that state where we know we have to do prompt engineering, we know we have to do context and intent engineering to get these things to work. And now that I've got it to a point where it's pretty stable, it's not perfect, it's still broken in some places, but I've got it to a point now where I can develop enterprise production grade code. And I dropped some things in the chat there, and essentially those are all systems that I've built in the last couple of weeks. These are apartment finder systems, they're warehouse management systems, just the variety of things. But I'm able to do that using these agents now because we've kind of got them in line. They're not perfect. The code that I build is maybe 95% there. And like Manolo said, you get lost sometimes, and have to, even as a professional coder, because these guys are so fast, I have to review what they've done, read the code, look at it inside of Visual Studio, just evaluate what they've done, and then to keep moving and iterate. But they've been able to produce a whole lot for me. And the effect, honestly, I'm going from a project that would take me 3 to 6 months down to a week. It's compressed it that much. And what's making me more and more effective is using those structured tools, just like you guys are doing it, because I'm learning too, right? I'm learning. I can't just tell it things. I have to be a lot more structured. I have to use all of my experience to build nice requirements that the AI can understand, and then build test plans on top of that. So I'm really following the full development life cycle, analysis, design, develop, and test. And when I follow that paradigm and that process that I've learned my whole life, and I use the AIs to augment that, I just move much, much faster. And so that's been my experience. It's a lot like Green Lantern with the ring, and he can make a fist and just smash everything, or he can do something more nuanced and use that tool in a way. It's a superpower. It really is a superpower. That's a great description there. But I can use that in a more intellectual way, in a more structured way, and achieve what I want to. But that's been my experience, and I'm still learning, and things are still broken. And the overarching thing for me is to get to a point where I have local AI that I can code with, because I don't want to lose that superpower. Honestly, that's really it. I don't want to lose the ability to code. And I see what the commercial model companies are doing. I can envision a time when people will be working at a company and they'll say, hey, here's your $20,000 token budget for the month, and you have to work here. If you leave that system, you won't have that superpower anymore. So you'll be working in a company, chained to a token budget as a senior engineer. And if you leave, all of your projects, all of your data, it's all up in the commercial cloud. And I can't have that happen to me, because this superpower is, I'm not going to let it go, right? The ability to code like this has made me a much more productive engineer. I've had teams of 40 guys working for me. Now I'm like a one-man guy with 40, AI agents. And I don't use 40, but I'm just saying the power of like 40 guys. I'm producing so much code, and I'm just gonna keep working to keep my AI local, my AI sovereign, and move forward. Sorry, I kind of ran out of gas there.
No, I understand.
Thank you, Tom.
I mean, you've made some like good points about just like work and the corporate cloud, like capturing all of that information and like the data structures that you build. That's like part of what's motivating me in my project, is creating this space where like I start to think about my agent system, or at least like with Codexify, the Guardian system, like it's like a single thing that's mine, like a passport. So this identity, I feel like it should be portable, and that when like it's almost like an information broker, that it only gives away the necessary information. So like if somebody wants to give me work, they can give me work, and I can work on it, and then I pass it back to them. Or I can like let this system have access to, the corporate system, where, I'm only passing information that is necessary instead of giving away everything. I could also imagine a way where we're able to create like embeddings and information that we can use, like tag it in a way where you put it into the corporate system. And then like when you leave or you stop working, it's like on a time release script where if you're no longer getting paid, then the embeddings just like they go away, So it's like if you're not working there anymore, then they don't get updated with like the password, and then they're scrambled, And I can see that being something useful too, as a way for us to maintain our sovereignty. It's like, why should you get to keep all the work that I do unless there's like a specific contract that says that's what it is? But I feel like that's kind of a thing that people can work in. And if the technology exists to do that after the fact, then you could make it a stipulation, and not like to mess the company up, but, to have a guarantee. Just like DRM, for contact management, but for like your own personal stuff. Yeah, because
I
they
think
could. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say like we're with what the models are doing now. Like what I think about with OpenAI specifically is I talk to it so persistently that it has a really good understanding of who I am and the way that I make decisions. So it's not even just like the work that I've done, when you think about your companies or the employers, but they could model your mind, they could model the way you make decisions, and they could pretty much have like a replication of you that continue to work after you're gone. So they have like virtual Tom that acts and thinks and does everything just like virtual Tom. It's just like I would want a way to scramble that where like I'm the source of that entity, that essence, and if they're gonna have a virtual version of me, maybe I can get paid royalties. But like, hey, look, I'll let you use this and you'll get half the rate of what it would be for me. It makes no mistakes, but I don't have to personally be there. You know what I mean? And then I just rent out like my essence and then you could use my embeddings and like my data structures that I've developed. And you can multiply yourself like that like 100 times over. If you're like the lead technologist or whatever in your field, you could rent out like your embeddings and put yourself on an API. I think that shit would be cool to do.
Yeah, and the companies out there are taking guys like me now and hiring guys like me and firing all the junior guys, and it's frankly despicable. I've got friends that's what they're doing, right? Take a guy like me and just get rid of all the juniors, and you can do that because now I have an army of junior programmers. That's what I have in my box. They are junior programmers. They do what I tell them, and they do a great job. But I'm not going to do that. So that personalized AI is what I'm using, and that's what Manolo is building. Your personalized AI that you can use to do work. Because you're exactly right. These guys, they're taking the engineer's knowledge as they're sitting there coding. They're capturing everything they do and their techniques and their work history and like literally everything they do, and then they're just bottling it up and getting rid of people.
Yeah, it's gonna be wild. I've seen unrelated to like coding, but like advertising companies that market the fact that they buy up information about individuals and then they build profiles on them and then they have digital counterparts of those people. And then they'll say, hey, if you want to do like product testing, A/B testing, all this kind of stuff, we can get you actual people who actually live. And this is like their virtual avatars of like the things they like, maybe medical issues that they have, like all the stuff that's publicly available to buy. And they just have a virtual, and they'll show you different products and get like, how would you most likely react based on all the data they have on you? And I'm like, that's kind of crazy because people actually got paid for that kind of testing, like individuals.
Sorry, Chris. I want to give some space to Momir. That is also has something to say. Momir, go ahead.
Hey, just a moment. Hey.
We can hear you.
Good to see so many stuff. I have also something to share, maybe from some other angle. I'm kind of using those most stupid tools, so I'm I'm even worse than you, so I cannot go into these black screens. I'm kind of afraid of. So I was also waiting so some stuff get advanced enough. So. And then just fulfilling my needs, I can share some stuff, what I've been doing, and just briefly to show some cases. Okay, it is programming. Okay, I'm lucky because I was for 7, 8 years project manager in IT, so I know the terms, I know the structure, I know, but I was never coding. I'd never touched anything. So, and I was kind of always kind of afraid to jump on it, and still I am. So I'm not. I even don't use neither OpenClaw, neither Hermes. It's still too geeky for me. But on the other side, I can show some stuff on some platforms. So what I managed to achieve even in this way, kind of a.
Momir, it's okay to share your software, but we are talking about your experience about vibe coding, what you learned, what
Yeah, I can tell you. Yeah, I was thinking to show this platform someone which I was vibe coding, and to show the result. This is thing I think this is most illustrative. So this is the last one. Actually, it was done today. It's done on this emergent platform. I don't know if you met. I bought some bulk deal, so I have some free tokens, and I was developing up my own interface, which has Gemini before in the background, but also can have other stuff, in which I could embed. Here I can show. I can embed just plain system prompt here, and I can create my own agent, which I can test and talk to it, and I wanted to achieve that I have that I can. What happened? Just a moment, something disappeared here. I have to refresh for some reason. It just logged me off. So yeah, here is just plain login, plain Google login experience. Managed to implement it. Just okay. There is just one problem, because this platform needs resuming because I'm in preview. I didn't publish it. While it's doing, I can show you shortly. What? Sorry, I didn't heard.
Maybe it was some noise in the background. Don't worry.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
So yeah, okay. Now it's resuming it, and I will be able to open a new preview. So I create an agent, and the bottom line is that I can cluster agent. What does it mean? I can put two system prompts and make a new type of environment in which I can make them easily talk in between each other. So
That's really cool.
yeah, and then I can create a sequence, because I have many sequenced prompts which I'm just doing, wasting awfully much time, because there is always the same way how I create mostly documents in my work, and there is analysis, and so other agents talk about it, and then from their conversation there is enough data to pull out the quality document. So this is what I do, and it's always the same. So I made a builder for me, so I can call any agent and give this always the same prompt and the sequence one after the other. So then I could bring them together, and I think I have active sequence here. Okay, and then I could get a whole answer automatically in one take, with I don't know 10, 15 steps of the sequence, and the end result. So I can just push one button and push it through. So I get the full conversation of different agents, and then I just take it as a PDF and make a document out of it. So this is a tool for me, just something what I managed to wipe code to have something that's kind of useful. And I share to some of my clients those recipes of these sequences, and they are lazy to just listen how they can do it. So I pack it, and they can use it in one button, like what to say, could you say, jerk proof, just they don't want to listen. So to make it easy for me, for the clients. Okay, here it is. So yeah, this is an emergent platform which is very amazing. It gives a really nice questions to answer before starts to code. It's really easy to work with. It spends a lot of tokens, but it builds quickly.
Do you have it give you structured questions? Is that like your intake prompt?
Yes, before when I put prompt, if it's not clear enough, then it gives me a really nice questionnaire and with options to offer, and very cleverly, and then starts to work. So it does
Very
work
nice.
piece by piece. In one moment, if there is an error, it asks to fix the error. Then it can spend a lot of tokens because there was some mess, and I can tell fix the error, fix the error, fix the error. But once
Yeah.
he said, okay, now it's clean, we can go further. So it's very easy to build, just a beautiful experience. But in one moment, building this, it spent me, I don't know, $50. I don't know for what, but usually it was very, very good and quick.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is what I built maybe in few hours. I didn't really put a lot of effort here. Okay, maybe 10 hours.
It's really nice. You're basically taking business requirements and then translating them into like almost like a technical requirements PRD, and then
Yeah,
present.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe this is so I started with some this basic prompt which I made from agent of mine to make this also this was before Resonant OS, so I was uh, operating system, I was call it Symbiont. This is the same thing as Resonant. It started with some very undefined system prompt, which was not too clever, but good enough to start. And then I was just, you see, I answered these questions like this. And you go, build it up, build it up. I was just getting new ideas. And then it came out like, ooh, this would be easy. When I made the system prompt, then I got, okay, it could be a platform for me. And then I made it. And I think this is now closed. I wouldn't build it up too much because I don't know how. I didn't even take a look at the code, but it works. And it's deployed there. I didn't see the server. I didn't see anything. It's live.
Yeah.
Beauty.
And it's wonderful, isn't it? And because you build it in a structured way, it doesn't even matter that you didn't code it. It works. And that's
Yeah,
really
it works. It works for me. It's on Google infrastructure now deployed through this. They have some. This emergent has some partnership with Google, so deployment was like poof up there. Oh, nice.
What are you producing, Momir? What is your outcome for your clients? Are you doing what is it?
I'm making them recipe how to produce great documents in different situations with an easy inputs, like recipes, which bring some analysis, different agents that go in between each other, analyzing from different angles, and usually when they pull it up, a nice conversation, in one moment it's well enough if you put one clear straight agent just like, okay, make a synthesis of this conversation and bring me this kind of document. I always say write piece by piece, give me first piece, give me second piece, and then he knows at the beginning he's creating a document, so he has a kind of structure at the very beginning and just pulls out the nice 20 page 30 pages master document, which is kind of you know. So this is what I do mostly from my company, which is consulting, and it drew me into some other things like design, but it's always the same. I always have this system prompts which goes a series of prompts that go one after the other. So it's kind of templatized prompting.
Thank you,
You have
Momir.
to,
Sorry, I want to give space also to others to talk. One thing, Momir, if you're spending $15 just for a short interaction, probably my suggestion here is to try, if you want to still use those corporate AI, I would suggest to use Codex, $20 a month, and you can do a lot with it.
I just took a license of OpenAI. I was avoiding them for a long time, but
Yeah.
seeing they are not good, and I have to.
Yeah, that's the thing. At the moment, I gave you this amazing deal. We should leverage it, and then when it's not there anymore, we find a different solution. Thanks a lot for sharing this. It's also really cool that you make those AI
Maybe just
tracking
quickly, just
together.
to show, I have two type things. I don't have to go into too many details. Just to
Can you,
since
Mumir? Can we give a space as to
okay,
Cyber,
if
please,
there
a
is
second?
a
Then we come
space
back to
more. Okay,
you.
okay.
Okay. You can prepare yourself for the next part. Maybe stop sharing for a second.
Sorry. There's always.
Thank you. CyberBeast Lab. Go ahead.
Yeah, mine is more of a question, really. I'm very interested to understand what is your typical workflow that you guys are using when vibe coding, especially, from the idea to the execution. What steps do you normally follow? And also, when it's about agents' expertise, how do you divide the identity of those agents? Is there anyone that has long experience and even past experience with as a coder, a professional coder, that can walk us through of what is a very good workflow approach?
I'm gonna share a little thing. First of all, honestly, if you see my deep dive article that I'm gonna share it again, but Shimon just shared, there's a lot of information in there that you can follow. As a vibe coder, I'm gonna tell you how I see it. Okay, it's true that there are best practice to do those kind of things, but what I do usually is I write down my idea. Okay, so I don't restrain myself from the limit of the technology. I write down what I want to achieve. Okay, so it's just me. It's me and my brain, my mind, my creativity. Okay, then what makes sense for me is to do a research. Because most of the time, the solution that I want to do, or part of what I want to build, it already exists as an open source. So there's no reason to write again something that is being road tested and works amazingly. Just get what is out there, and then it's become much easier because it's about doing kind of a Lego building. Okay, so you get that code from there, you build together. You have road tested code. Therefore, extremely stable, used by thousands of people, and is there for many years. It's been there, and then you can rely on those elements that are really solid, and then put it together. That is most of the cases you can do this. There is sometimes that you need to write new code. Okay, but then it's about using AI in the as Mumir was saying, as Chris was saying, everybody was saying, is about planning first. But you can ask AI to plan it first. So I'm gonna share the screen a second, so you see how it's so important, this planning. Share screen. Okay, it's this one. It's so important, this planning. Okay, at the moment, sorry, because my AI working in the background. Let's go on this one. So if I write plan, okay, this system already knows that I use plan mode. Okay, there is a mode within Codex just to do planning. Okay, because it's part of the thing. So you go in the plan mode, you see it changed here, and now whatever you do before writing the code is gonna plan. Okay, decide what is needed to be. It's gonna ask you questions. You answer those questions. The thing that Momi was saying. So the system is already built in a way to help you out to create correctly. Again, for me, one of the best tools to use is do researches. Okay, there is a lot of time. This is especially with the smaller model, with the local model. There are many times where a local model doesn't have the knowledge to solve a problem, to build something, but you allow it to do a research on the internet, find those knowledge, and then it can build anything. Okay, then he has the knowledge that the Codex has. Okay, the latest model has. So that is more what I'm been doing. I don't know if someone else want to share their approach. Someone.
Do you mind if I have a go?
Someone
Yeah, go
first.
for it.
So I've done a lot of this process before. I've written the same thing. I've actually so one of my big pushes is to make a voice program that interacts two-way via voice only. And I've actually gone through this process and built it about maybe 6 times now, with different iterations and different focuses in each time. Doing local models, doing remote models, doing deterministic, doing full AI, all that kind of stuff, and having a great time all the time. One thing that I've noticed, whenever you're prompting AI, whenever you're building stuff, no matter what tool you're using, the first thing you need is infinite patience. You cannot go in thinking that you're going to go in and do something without waiting, learning, and checking how the AI is going and having infinite patience for what it's doing. The second thing is over planning. For me, when I am planning something and making a document or making an app or whatever, if I tell it to make a plan, tell it to refine the plan, tell it to go in and make all of the things as like pseudocode and then make it like a prep code and then plan this, plan that. Basically, the AI is so ready to make documents on documents on documents. And it will, like, I went into my project space at one point, I found 300,000 documents. Like, literally, I'm like, what is going on? Like, OpenClaw, over the course of like 2 or 3 months, and I was like, yep, cool, okay, I need to really work out what's going on in here, and I went in at a full search of everything, and there were 300,000 documents, all files and everything, the whole thing. I was like, what? No way that I can go through this. But the other point is that the AI was using these documents and then continuously referring back to them and getting completely confused. Over planning can be a problem as well. So making sure that you go back and you actually refine the plan and you actually go in and say, right, this is the document that you're going to read. I've read it as a human and I agree with what's in there. It follows what I want you to do. And that is the document you're going to use. And so that's like your planning phase also has like that little bit of human oversight to say, right, don't pull from other places. Don't do this. Don't do that. Just work with what I've got and curate it yourself. Just to get that little bit of human oversight. Because if you just let it run, then it'll be a problem.
That is the single source of truth that we've always been talking about. You need one truth between you and AI so you can agree on what is happening.
And you have to read it. You have to read it. You can't just run.
Chadwick, just 1 second. I want to give to Chris that wanted to say something. Chris, go ahead. I think you wanted to say something.
Yeah, no, it was just in reference to somebody was asking about just processes to code with, and it just goes back to the same thing, just having context, like getting the specs that you want, getting the information you want. Also giving the agent back like the error codes. That's like a pretty powerful thing, is getting into loops where like you just like, I don't even try to mess with stuff. I just am like, here's everything's going wrong. I guess I'll show you guys with my prompt template, I'll give it everything that I have as like an error code, and then it writes a new prompt for me. So I don't even spend time looking at stuff. I work with like a pretty dense knowledge base that I'm like constantly updating and like curating and making sure that everything's like proper, which like I read that stuff already. But once you have everything that you know is sourced good, then you don't have to spend as much time reading everything that it generates because you know all the information you're giving it is like perfect. It's more of a concern when it's like you don't know what's in there or there's like overflow or something. It's just that curation. I don't know. I love documents.
That curation
Sorry,
will help you.
I have a question. Sorry, but when you let's say you have a plan, then you have the agent starting coding, and then you have you can test it, you can review it, but all the code review part, right? How do you approach the bloating of the code? How do you approach a code that grows over time and becomes impossible to maintain, to scale, and even to debug? So that part of the code review, how do you guys approach it?
Can I share? Because I went through this. Okay. So my first version of Resonant OS was exactly this thing. Okay. AI just loved to work on one single document and make it huge for some whatever reason. Okay. And you trust the AI should know better, but it doesn't. So the feedback that I had from Tom and other people inside the community, they tell me about this problem. And what I had to do, I learned this word that is beautiful. You need to refactor the code. Okay, so you allow AI to actually rewrite the whole code with this new best practice. Okay, so the AI need to follow the best practice and refactoring the code, and basically rebuild the whole thing in a way that makes sense, that is modular and so on. So you need to tell this to AI. Now there is a different way of best practice, different way of refactoring. You need to do a research. What is the best thing for the software that you're building? Okay, because not everything is done in a similar way. In the sense, it depends of the language that you're using, depend of the is it for mobile phone, is it for a computer? There's a lot of different things. But if you follow those simple idea, refactoring by following the best practice, you're already in a good place. I don't know if Tom, you want to add anything on this.
No, you're absolutely right, and I experienced the same thing you guys all did with OpenClaw, right? It writes down files everywhere, and it doesn't really care. It's just using those files as best it can, and so you end up with a pretty sprawling bit of code. And I've had to do the same thing. I've had to go back in and say consolidate all this, refactor it, and put it into the project structure that you would see in a Rust project. And so when I look at it inside of Visual Studio Code, I see the folders that you would expect to see as a developer. And that makes it easy for me because I'm not writing all the code, but I know where to go to look like for the environmental variables. I know where to go look for the key modules. And I do scan the code. I don't read all of it. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't have the time because it's so much. But I do look at the code. I do look at the structure. And when I find problems, I do go into it. But it's really about making sure that it's refactored and structured properly so it doesn't have a sprawl of documents. And then also, if you want to work with other people, you need to be able to share that. Like now we're sharing up on GitHub, and since Manolo has refactored, now I can pull my code down from his repo and look at it, and then I can add into it modularly. So it is quite important to get that structure. And as a vibe coder, that's something. I mean, I'm talking as myself because I'm vibe coding as an engineer. And you have to be careful with that because the AI doesn't always follow the structure that I would if I was sitting down and just coding from raw scratch. You have to go back and make sure it's doing it. And, using Codex and other agents, I frequently say, I create essentially a few different coding agents and I have them do like a panel review of the code and then produce an output and say, tell me all the problems you found in this structure. And then I have another team go in and build that structure and build out the code. And then I have another team go in and test it and another team go in and deploy it. So I'm using swarms of agent teams to do panel evaluations of my code all the way from the intake and then the analysis and then the initial development and deployment and testing. So I'm just constantly round robbing, with agents on each step of that process. And it comes out to be pretty effective in the end.
Thank you, Tom.
It happens to me that I had a code growing, and then I kind of, without knowing the restructuring, I kind of saw it as say, can you rewrite it again from scratch and make it small? But the problem is that it introduced new bugs. So it's something that was working before. Now it has been refactored, and yes, you made it better. You may have solved 10 bugs, but then you have a new bug that you didn't have before. So how do you guys approach this risk, this issue?
First of all, okay, I'm gonna share again.
Use GitHub. Use Git.
Chris, go ahead.
I would say use Git version control.
Yeah,
where
absolutely.
If you have issues, you roll back. Yeah, that's like number one.
Yeah,
I spent months chasing my tail with that.
But
I push the Git. I push the Git every time I'm about to make a major change. I tell my robots, back it up 3 ways, push it to Git before you break this, because they will break it frequently.
Yeah, but what he's talking about has a long code that needs to be refactored into smaller chunk. So it's not like I go back to the longer code because otherwise the problem is still there, the bigger code. So you need to chunk it. So you start to create those smaller modules, and then those modules have mistakes. Okay, and that is the reality. That's the truth. So then you need to fix all the new bugs that are being created. There's no a real way out. But before we carry on with this discussion, I want to allow Chadwick to talk because he's been waiting.
Yeah, sure. I'll go back to your initial request. I'm a principal engineer, over 30 years of professional development experience. And so about vibe coding, I would say doing it without structure, you're going to get random results. And so providing some structure, and I know you talked about it with doing some research. So I have a multi-agent orchestration system I've developed. And so when I prompt my orchestrator, hey, this is what I want, it will say, all right, this looks like we need a specification doc and a plan doc. Let me first pass this over to the researcher agent who goes out, checks the internet, checks my source code, figures out what other apps are doing, what else is out there. And then it takes that, returns it back. Then my orchestrator hands it off to the planner who takes that research and develops a specification doc. Then I have a human touch point where I need to approve the spec. Once I approve it or iterate on any changes I want, then goes and creates a plan doc with step-by-step phases and tasks. And then I can just run it through. And by doing that research upfront or having an agent or asking your AI to go do the research, I think really helps ground it in some reality and other expertise that it finds out there. One other thing I would mention is once I get a plan or a specification doc created by AI, is I will turn around and prompt it and say, okay, now do an adversarial review of the design you just created. And I'll be darned, 60 to 80% of what it came up with, it says, I was just making a guess. I'm going to reverse my decision. So that I found to be very helpful. One thing I'd like to talk about quickly is with vibe coding. I have several teams of developers, and so I have implemented a set of instruction files, and we use VS Code Copilot. It's in the enterprise. We don't have a choice. So we create instruction files for like testing, performance, accessibility, React, TypeScript, etc. And so I literally can create a new page, add it to routing, put these fields on the screen, and go. And it will go develop the entire thing, including getting up to 100% code coverage, making sure there are no errors in the file because it checks ESLint. And I know I'm probably throwing out a lot of technical jargon out there, but it's vibe coding, and its output is production quality because I have the context in my instruction files in place. And what's great when you got an existing code base, you can just tell AI, create me an instruction file on where our code base does things different than your training, because that's what you want to capture in those files, and only that. You don't want to tell it what it already knows how to do. You're going to make things worse. So, so you can do it that way, or you can go out to like Copilot Awesome or other places that have instruction files that you can download them, and then tell AI, what do you already know? Strip it out, make it lean and mean, and that can help you get some structure that will help improve your code quality or the outputs of whatever you're doing. So I think that's good enough. Hope that helped.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you
That
for
was
sharing
very
that.
good.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah, there's
amazing.
some stuff there.
There's a point that you just mentioned about asking the AI how much our code differ from your training. Can you expand on that? Essentially, you are checking if what you've done goes outside the baselines of the average coding. What's the logic? Can you explain, please?
Yeah. So models, like if you're doing React development, web development, there's so much training material out there that the AI models have been trained, and they synthesize, across all the examples they look at, it's like, this is what the majority of people are doing, so this is the approach I'm going to choose. But there may be cases like I work for a financial company, so there are certain bits of functionality in React that we use differently. Like there's a use dispatch hook. We don't use that. We use a different one called use app dispatch. So that's what I put in my instruction file, because I want you to use this different function, which is different than what your training the AI model's training would tell it to do. And so that's what I mean is, they're trained on what's the most common solution for this. So if you do something that differs, you want to call that out so the model doesn't just go do what the training consensus has decided it should do.
Oh, got
Yeah.
it. Thank you so much.
And
So-
also your design patterns. If you have, if you've developed, a certain set of like the way you do your login and authentication or your user management. If you have a design pattern that you like, I don't want the AI to go out and just synthesize general patterns, right? I want it to use what I say, go build another user management and do it like you did on the last project, right?
Can I add a few things? So, what Chadwick was saying, basically, the AI is biased towards a certain way of coding, okay, because that is the training that is done. So, if you want to change the bias, you need to instruct the AI to work in a different direction. What is possible with this, somehow is what Tom was saying with the design pattern. I'm going to share the screen a second, because what is interesting with screen share is this one with Codex, that for example you can do slash and go into sorry, I got this thing in front of me. So I got this one called Senior AI Developer, okay, which is it does exactly what was saying, the adversarial review. Okay, the idea was okay. We can't use it Midos, but we know what Midos does. Okay, so we can extract that kind of functionality and create a skill for GPT 5.5 in this case to use that kind of behavior, which is this adversarial review of the code and find bugs and security elements and so on. So you can turn those kind of system into a skill. So now if I give this skill and then I tell to, I don't know, review this, what I'm doing here, the open code add-on, then it's going to use that kind of attitude and the kind of skill abilities to review the code in a specific way. So you can create a series of skills, the one that I think Chris was mentioning and other of you were mentioning, that Tom was also saying that it has a different agent. But when you work with a large language model like a GPT 5.5, you can use also one single agent that can change the behavior and take different kind of behavior to review the code. If you're using a small model like a local model, it's better to have two different models to do the review. One writes, the other does the review. In case of a large model like this one single model actually can do both scenarios. That's what I wanted to share. That's it.
Manolo, could I add to that technique?
Yeah.
One of the things that have been highly effective for me when I do my initial analysis, I have the AI go out and query, and I know I'm paying a lot of bills right now because I'm still building, but I'll have it query all the top commercial models. I'll have it hit Gemini, OpenAI, Claude, Grok, and I'll have it synthesize their analysis of my intent. And then from we're using a heterogeneous pool of AIs, you get a better response because they do pick each other apart. And then like Chris was saying, after I get done with that, I always take another step and I say, okay, now go form another panel and then red team this, pick it apart. And this planning document that I just created, I want you to pick this planning document apart before I execute on my build plan. I always call these build plans, right? Analysis, design, and then build. And I have it red team until the point where that build plan looks clean. Then I do a human review and then I execute. And that turns out to be pretty effective.
And then like the best pro tip is once you got like a solid workflow like this, instead of remembering every single step, you turn that shit into a prompt. And then you you go boop, and
I'm lazy,
do that
man.
whole thing.
I'm not like you, man. I'm lazy. I'm lazy.
Just ask the agent to do it. Be like, hey, can you just what we just did? Turn that into like a workflow prompt, And then
which is the skill that I was mentioning
Yeah.
inside the Codex. Okay, you've been doing work in a specific way. Now you say write a skill for it. These skills also works on Hermes. Okay, it's not just Codex. So you can write a skill. Now Hermes knows that need to work in a specific way, need to think in a specific way, need to do something in a specific way because your hardware, your architecture is built in a specific way. It's gonna just remember and use that skill to maneuver the environment. Anyway, we have 2 minutes left. Is there anything that we want to add? Anybody that maybe didn't have a chance to talk, they want to share something now? That now is
I'm going
your
to talk
moment.
for the real beginners at home because I don't think anybody here is that much of a beginner. But what I did is I took the stuff Manolo was sharing, and with Codex, I created a vault in Obsidian with all the documents. And then on Codex, I created a learning tool. So it was guiding me on how to start a project, how to amend a project. So I will take, using all this, I would take projects of mine that I had generated an application. I would take this and say, how can I improve this following this methodology? What did I do wrong? How can I improve it? And actually, I found the Substack that Manolo shared really useful, but now it's divided into different documents. I have exercises, project ideas, and that was really easily generated by Codex because what I found is that Codex is really good for learning. It really is very pedagogical. It even takes the piss of me. Like, it gives me an instruction and then I go, it didn't work. And he will tell me, you literally copy pasted my text. And between brackets, I told you change this for your text. And you just copy, and he's kind of laughing at me. So it's quite fun to learn through Codex. I recommend you use it.
I just got it. Codex. So I'm on the bandwagon too.
I'll send you,
Nice.
Tal, I'll send you my vault so you can use those documents. It makes it really easy and fun.
So let's conclude this session by say Wednesday call is about academy. It's about this. Okay, it's not just gonna be vibe coding, but it's gonna be about learning together, experiment, building things. We can do sometimes even divided in groups and work in different rooms and build something together. They're gonna
Manolo,
be
you said Wednesday call? Wednesday.
sorry, Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday. Today is call. Okay.
Yeah.
So as happen every Tuesday is the Resonant Academy call. Same time. The link is in Discord. The idea is that we can learn together. We can learn by building as well. So we can divide us in team, maybe create add-ons. Okay, little micro app for Resonant OS, and and it's an excuse to learn how to use it, to learn to build and build with others. So we can create teams where maybe there is some good people with experience, like Tom and Chadwick and maybe some other people. We can kind of lead those teams, and then there is this other people that learn and interact and so on. Hope you had fun. I learned a lot. It was really good to have all of you here. And one more thing, we have another call tomorrow. Okay, so that we have calls Monday to Friday every day, different topics. And tomorrow is about technology and AI and Resonant OS and so on. Okay. Um, Thanks again. We can stop the recording and see you tomorrow.